I'm a different kind of cop. We knock down the doors other cops don't want to. Taking fire from every scumbag in town.
They didn't earn it. I don't feel bad about taking it.
All about bringing force down on the street. Why don't y'all take a look at what you got going on under your own roof?
I never put the money above us.
How long you think that's gonna last?
I don't want Vic in our lives anymore.
You're investigating me?
Vic Mackey beats suspects and deals drugs.
And that's just all in one day. I wonder what he's gonna do tomorrow.
Everybody down!
Hey, my day's just getting started.
Indeed, and with my present sleeping habits, my day is also just getting started. Welcome to the Outcast Creative Channel and the first of our Chew the Fat episodes about The Shield Season 2. I think we might get Seasons 2 and 3 done this year. I certainly hope so. My panelists and I are all huge fans of this show. Many of us consider it to be the best crime genre show of all time. And I'm quite happy to argue that point with people. My panelists have all watched the episodes again recently. We're going to be breaking them down in detail, talking about what makes them special, talking about standout performances, key moments, best lines, best guest actor, and so forth. So let me bring them on. My regular co-host, the Inside Man, is back with us after his computer exploding. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And I've got to be honest with you, I've been looking forward to this so much, and boy, was I not disappointed.
Yeah, it's I keep forgetting because you're watching the show for the first time.
For the very first time, and I've actually got you to thank for recommending this to me. I'd never seen it. I didn't catch it the first time round, but yeah, I'm so glad that I took you up on the challenge, and I've been watching this. But I'm drip feeding myself with the specific episodes that we're only going to be doing every week.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to kind of whiz through everything, but yeah.
You've resisted it. You've resisted the temptation to binge the whole thing.
I've completely resisted it. Yeah. It's been difficult.
Unlike Darth Plato, who did that in about a week,
Bless him.
Is sporting his Vic Mackey look, especially for the stream. Good to see you, Darth. How's your audio?
Hey.
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's still quite fast. I've done Parenthood, which I think has more episodes than this. I'm on season 6 of episode 7, and I started watching it on, I think it was the 2nd of January. So that's a topic for another time. I know the Inside Man can't wait to do a detailed breakdown of Parenthood, and those nappy scenes and so forth. We also have representing American law enforcement and indeed criminals. We also have Lord of Toxicity. Look at that.
Excuse me, I was reading a book a friend gave me here. Sorry about that.
You looked very gripped there.
I was indeed.
Thank you so much for supporting me by buying that book. Oh, look, there's another one. I wonder which of you has the version with the least typos in. That's a stream for another time. Talking of avid readers, we couldn't find one, but Northern English Bastard is here. How are you, sir?
I do read so good. Yes, I'm glad to be on here, you beautiful bastards. And I'll get more into the show, but yeah, it's been a very good first 2 episodes until this new season. Well, old new season anyway.
Well, we're gonna, for anyone who hasn't watched this before, we kind of talk through each episode separately in detail. I go through it not quite scene by scene, but I cover as much as I can. And then we go around our panel and cover our various key topics. So we're going to do that first. Now, I am still a little bit under the weather. So if I have to mute myself suddenly, It just means that I'm reaching for the medical kit, that I am still here. So, all right. So we got season 2, episode 1, The Quick Fix, directed by the late Scott Brazel. A fantastic television director, did a huge number of episodes of The Shield, and this episode is written by the creator, Shawn Ryan. And I think one of the things that they wanted to make clear on the season 2 opener is, hey, they've given us a bit more money, because the show immediately feels a bit bigger. And I'll come back to why that is. But we open very quickly with gang graffiti being sprayed and 2 people basically being held for tire burnings, or what they call necklace. I think it's necklace tox. You probably know the official term for this.
Yeah, it's a it varies depending on who does it, but it's a Colombian necklace, Mexican necklace, whatever, cartel necklace.
So yeah, I guess this is a Mexican necklace in the case of these characters. Blue collar loser. I'm stuck at work. I can at least be in the chat. Thank you, mate. So Danny Pino makes his debut as one of the Mexican brothers we're going to be coming across. His particular character is called Armadillo, or Armadillo, as Dutch likes to call him. Anyway, then we cut to Vic meeting up with the PI, none other than Dietrich from Aliens, played by Mark Rolston, who is convinced that he's got information that Corinne, who fled Mackie's house. That was the big cliffhanger at the end of season 1. Mackie went home to find his wife and his children had gone. And in his own moral world, everything he's doing is for his wife and children. Can we get those shots a bit more centered by any chance, Northern? Is that possible?
Yeah, I did it on I think about 1.75 frames, something like that. 1.75 speed here while getting these shots.
That's all right. I mean, don't worry if you can't. So there is a great shot of the person burning on IMDb in the opening. Feel free to take a look at it. Then we cut to Vic barging into the room where he thinks Corinne is shacked up with a yoga instructor. And for a second, it really does look like her. Unfortunately, it turns out not to be her. And he's just barged in on 2 completely innocent civilians. So unlike Vic to do that. We cut to titles. Strike team, meanwhile, are checking shipments arriving to the drug dealer that's in Mackie's pocket, Tio. And they've come in from Mexico. They're with their gang contact. They've checked that the drugs are good. So it's 50 grand's worth of coke. So it's quite a big haul, lots of cash. And they're escorting Tio back into the city. When he goes over the speed limit, he gets pulled over. So the strike team, minus Vic, have to pull up, show their ID badges. But unfortunately, the police detective doesn't buy their story about it all being part of a special setup they're doing. So he wants to call Acevedo. And unfortunately, Acevedo then promptly turns up just as Mackie arrives. Acevedo, it's quite interesting here. He agrees to sort of let the guys go. He sort of gives Mackie a look and then says, "You and I need to talk. Sorry." And then we cut to titles. This is all the pre-title stuff. There's quite a lot of stuff. So we know that Acevedo straight away wants to strike some kind of deal with Mackie. Otherwise, he's got him banged to rights in that scene, actually. But he lets it pass. Okay, so then after the titles, Dutch and Claudette are assigned to the 2 people who've been burned alive. Dutch points out these are 2 high-level gang members from 2 different gangs, so he doesn't understand who would want to kill them. Meanwhile, Tio, who's played by actor Cedric Pendleton, I talked about him when we talked about the show last year as one of the outstanding supporting cast on the show. One of his men does some lines and then ODs. We realise the coke is bad or it's been poisoned. Dutch, meanwhile, takes Vic takes Alvarez to the Niners and threatens to leave him there if he doesn't fess up who tampered with the coke. And that's when we get the name, the Quintero brothers, Navarra and Armadillo. Meanwhile, the private investigator needs 50K from Vic to find Corinne. That will get him access to his entire PI network. Dutch and Wims question the Mexican family, who is one of the families of one of the victims. And Dutch consents that the daughter, who's only 10 years old, wants to tell them more. So he deliberately leaves his notepad behind. Now, this next scene is really key. Vic now needs 50 grand. So we heard a lot of mentions of the retirement fund in season 1, which is basically the strike team's pot of money. They keep putting money in there that they pick up off the books, and it's to be divvied up between them all. This is where we find out that Shane has dipped into the retirement fund and used it to his own ends, and there's basically nothing in that. Shane says, I was trying to take us to the next level, to which Mackie says, what level is that? Prison. Great line. Then we cut to Dutch and Claudette interrogating Armadillo's girlfriend, played by actress Kirsten Bell. Some people may remember her from House of Lives. And she's basically a West Side cheerleader. We find out that she's not really his girlfriend. She's essentially a rape victim. How do we know that? Because she's got a tattoo of a dove on her cheek, which is his trademark. So we cut to Vic and Danny just having a bit of how's your father? For anybody who doesn't know what that means, Google it. And she's still his side piece. Feels very much like he's just using her to relieve stress, and she's going along with it. Then we're introduced to a new character, Lucinda Jenny, who's the auditor woman. She's basically there to find dirt on the precinct, and we know it. So Vic, meanwhile, decides to take a day off. He goes to Tijuana and orders Shane and Lem to go looking for guns in Tijuana. Possibly the worst decision he could ever make, because no sooner have they gone to look for guns, they basically get ripped off. They get all their money taken off them. They get their badges taken off them. We never find out how they get their badges replaced, by the way, which was a bit of a snafu hole in the plot. Meanwhile, back in the USA, Dutch tries to charm the auditor, and he fails at every count. In fact, that's an ongoing theme with Dutch being assigned to her, trying to come across as the best detective and failing at every opportunity, which I thought was really funny. The Spanish girl, the 10-year-old girl, comes in with Dutch's notebook and informs him that he knows who the murderer was. He overheard her brother talking about it. Dutch and Claudette argue about her testifying, and they get into it. And, of course, the girl has to be released. We realise that she's left something behind in the interview room. Meanwhile, back in Tijuana, Vic and the strike team, they kidnap the other brother. They demand money from him. It's a proper ballsy move because they're in Mexico. This is where the show really feels bigger because it's filmed in Mexico for real, and they use a lot of key locations. So I was very impressed with that. I kind of forgot that they went to Tijuana to film this opener. And they get ready to light up the brother. I don't know if anybody recognized him, but the brother is played by actor Emilio Rivera, who is one of the main
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that, Tox?
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, he's a guest on Sons of Anarchy, and he's one of the main characters in the spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, Mayans MC, which is much better show than a lot of people give it credit for. Dutch and Claudette back in the US, they bring Armadillo in. He's totally arrogant. He knows the law. Brilliant performance by Danny Pino. He would get cast in lots of very similar characters, I think, as a result of this. Back in Tijuana, Vic and Co go and get the money. Then they leave abruptly, taking their prisoner with them. They drug him, put him in the boot of the car. When Shane questions this, and Vic comes up with the idea of using roofies to basically knock him out. The date rape drug? And he says, yeah, don't pretend you don't know what it looks like. And we cut back to the USA. Claudette finds in his record Armadillo raped his own teacher when he was 11. The inspector goes on a rant at Dutch because Dutch hasn't fessed up the file on Gilroy, gives him public dressing down in the barn. Back at the border, Vic and Co are approaching the border crossing. It's really tense. We cut back to America. The inspector goes to see Acevedo, and then she comes clean. She basically points out that he's got enemies on the city council. They're not happy with him. He says he's got a 17-point lead, and in a year's time, he pretends to be on the council. She says she'll be hard but fair. So she's basically not going to be bribed by anyone, but she's not going to take any bullshit either. There's a subplot here with Julian getting a kid out of trouble who's broken the law. The mother, played by Monet Michelle, is introduced, and this will become a big subplot ongoing in season 2. Dutch gets the file, and then he sees Armadillo on the camera laughing. They have to let him go. When they check the footage, they realise that he found the trinket that the girl left behind. So they know he's going to go after the girl. Back at the border, Vic and Co have a close call, but they actually get across the border. I had a question for Toxic here, so I'll ask it now.
Go ahead.
What do you think would have happened in reality with that border check?
There's no way. That's Hollywood. That's one of 2 or 3 things in this episode that's really Hollywood. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that even with them flashing the badge, I assume.
Especially with them flashing the badge.
Right. That's an even more likely kind of, hey, they're probably up to no good sort of thing. Is there a big rivalry as well between border force and police officers?
Well, yeah, it's the second of 2. I mean, when we go back into the at the beginning, that's the sheriff's department that pulled over Tio and his crew. There's no way. As soon as they saw Rampart detectives come in, they'd be like, yeah, right. We want to talk to the chief. We're not trying to talk to your captain or team leader. Forget about it.
I mean, of course, in the sort of historical context, technically the Rampart scandal hasn't broken yet because these guys are it. They're kind of the reflection of it, aren't they? But I'm sure there's corrupt cops. But all right, we'll come back to that. Good to get your input on that. So Vic goes to chat with the auditor. She's as nice as pie to him. Dutch is watching on. He can't believe it. Armadillo, meanwhile, has found the girl, the young girl. Basically, we know what happened to her. Don't want to use the word on YouTube for the second time. And she's had a tattoo of a dove put on her cheek. Absolutely heartbreaking scene. So they get back with the money. They've also got back with the brother. They put the brother in the cage. They stash the money in the retirement fund. But this time, Vic is not going to give Shane the keys. He doesn't trust him. And they're all basically everybody on the strike team's in the doghouse because they all knew about Shane's iffy investments. Vic's back at the strike team. The PI comes and talks to Vic and tells him he got a warning that Corinne's in Denver. And he'll follow up. Vic's at home eating a TV dinner when Acevedo arrives, and Acevedo realizes immediately he knows the family's missing. He offers to watch Vic's back until the election, as long as Vic gets his head back in the game, and they both kind of unite against Lenny Kellis, who's the auditor. And boom, that's the end of episode 1. Right, God, I can't believe I got through that without coughing.
Well done. Well done. You did well.
Right. That was nothing short of a miracle. Oh, $30 super chat. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for all the good recommendations and entertainment. Very kind.
Oh, bless you.
Ryan Randall for $5. Sorry it's been a while, but happy to jump into watching this and catching up. Hope you're having a great start to 2025. Well, I am, apart from I'm feeling a bit poorly. Thank you, Hella and Randall, both of you, for those. I really appreciate those. We're gonna talk about a quick overview from each guest about the episode. If you liked it, why, if you didn't, or any criticisms. Don't go for too long, but I'll go around each person individually. I'll quickly go first. I think it's a strong episode. Introduction of a new villain who is extremely well played by Danny Pino. The Dutch and Claudette stuff is always, for me, the best scenes. The whole storyline with the kid and the dove is just kind of utterly heartbreaking. I did feel the border crossing was a bit, and the kidnapping of the gang leader and all of that. I felt that was a little bit of a bridge too far for me, but I was prepared to go with it because it did make great entertainment. I'm not looking for total realism here, otherwise the show would be a bit boring. But I do agree that probably push the boat out a little bit far. We'll come on to favourite lead cast, supporting cast, your favourite standout moments and best lines later. Just give us your overall thoughts on the episode. We'll do ratings at the end as well. So, Inside Man, away you go.
Well, I thought that they really did hit the ground running. I mean, to coin a cliche, and it was a great start to this second season. I kind of expected it to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good for the first episode. But it really delivered in disturbing me. There was a couple of moments that I found particularly disturbing. I think we know the moments that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, acting wise, just amazing, brilliantly written, superbly directed. I thought I got to give credit to the editing on this.
Yeah,
some great editing on this, and I think it's a real kind of, they've hit their stride and they know where they're going now. They know exactly how this show is meant to be. So it's kind of like the season one was like the learning curve. They were finding their feet. This season, this is the one where we have the definitive, I think, the definitive version of the Shield. This is the season where we know exactly what's to come in terms of the visuals, the writing, the acting. But I love the Tijuana stuff. I mean, strangely, that was you're absolutely right. I mean, it kind of feels a lot bigger. It does feel like there's some kind of it has some kind of scale to it this time. But that was actually only shot in 2 days. All that Tijuana stuff was shot in 2 days, and that was actually shot obviously in Tijuana. And it was shot guerrilla style, so it wasn't like a massive crew. They had like first AD and director there, or second unit director there.
Right.
But there was a nice little story that
there's people to get kidnapped and held for ransom that way.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite funny when they were talking about in an interview. I think they were talking about the moment where they sort of piled the guy into the car, and there was a police officer there, sort of keeping the crowds back and everything. And he said, they said, what would happen if anybody, anyone passerby decides that they're actually going to step in and intervene in this, this kind of kidnapping, if you like. And this police officer turned around and said, "Listen, this is Tijuana. Trust me, nobody is going to intervene in a kidnapping in Tijuana."
That's fucking reassuring.
I thought that was a brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant line. But yeah. So I think that kind of tells you everything about the guerrilla style filmmaking that they had in this episode. But I loved it. I absolutely adored this episode for the first episode of season 2. What a cracker! What an absolute cracker! Brilliant.
Great. Okay, great stuff. Darth, you're next on the row, so jump in, buddy.
Well, at the end of last season, we saw how Beta achieved his goal from the beginning of the season of busting a high-level cop. I mean, a high-level cop, but a corrupt cop. And he did that in the form of guerrilla. So he doesn't need to go after Vicky. So what we're seeing for the setup for season 2 is his aspiration for political office, and the very Machiavellian setup between if you want to call it a détente, sure, call it a détente between Beta and Vic about where they're going with this. And I think this episode sets it up pretty well. I can't add anything more to the Tijuana stuff. Actually, I learned a lot just listening to what you guys just said just now.
Yeah.
I'll save the rest for the characters, but specific characters.
Okay. Good stuff. Tox, jump in.
Yeah. No. Great season opener for season 2. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more back in the day than I did now. Too much experience now, where I see a lot of the believability is really stretched a little thin, but it's still extremely entertaining. as we've been doing this, I got the girlfriend who is a police captain to watch this with me. So of course we're playing that game of subject matter experts, taking the piss out of the stuff for realism, but it doesn't make it any less entertaining. In fact, I would say it's more entertaining in a lot of ways because it shows the strength of the performances and stuff. And I like that. I think Danny Pino's a great character actor. I believe he's also played a cop on Law and Order, but I might be wrong about that. I'm not sure. But he's a great adversary, a great villain, and I love a good villain introduction. And I think as far as this show has gone along, I think he's the best of all of it. And did they even have a villain in the first season? I don't think they did.
No, the first season was more, it was Acevedo was more the villain, really.
Right. It's more of a day in the life in the first season. So yeah, this is the first one where they have like a big antagonist for Vic and the team. And he certainly comes out swinging, and I really enjoyed it.
Good stuff. He was in NYPD 2069, which was a pilot, I assume, for a sci-fi version of NYPD.
Really?
PD, yeah.
Interesting.
And he's been in CSI New York, and he's been in Chicago PD. Is probably
Chicago PD. That's where I know him from.
Yeah, same. But he did play a detective on Law and Order Special Victims Unit, actually. Yeah, he did 95 episodes of that. So that was after this. That was after this.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So okay. Northern, I think it's your go.
Yeah, it's a very good start to this second season, and it definitely starts with a big, I won't say a big bang, a big burst of flaming police informants. It is very dark and it's very harsh, and I'm not going to lie, hearing that scream will stay in my head for a good long while. But the actor who did that did a good job, and we've got, like Toxic said, we've got this very good adversary as well. He's very creepy, he's very chilling, and he's very calm as well. He's very calm in his menace, and I really like that. And like you said, there's a few things that are a bit wrong with this, though, but we are seeing Mackie a little bit more desperate as well. He's lost his family and he's trying to find them. And we're seeing Acevedo really, really just lying, getting into bed with anyone who can help further his career at the moment, especially if it's Vic Mackie, his old rival.
Yeah. He's already showing his true political colours. That's for sure. All right.
Armadillo seems like a tight beat personality, though. I don't think I've ever seen that villain before.
Yeah, is it pronounced Armadillo though? I'm pretty sure.
Armadillo.
Yeah. Armadillo. As I'm ill, I reserve the right to call him Armadillo.
Well, that's fair.
So, all right, let's move on to the cast. I'm hoping to have little videos for each of these different sections, but I haven't done them yet because I've been poorly. All right. So I'm going to talk about the supporting cast first because I always like to do that. So we've got several supporting cast that would go on to quite substantially bigger things in this episode. And then you've also got one or two, I don't particularly know them from other stuff, but they do stand out jobs. So, I mean, Emilio Rivera, amazing career. He's a first class. You could call him an A-list television actor for sure. Leading Minds MC, frequent guest on Sons of Anarchy. This would be where he would have met Kurt Sutter, I imagine. Does a superb job here. It's not a massive role, but he does a great job. So I just rate him as an actor generally. So this scene was just brilliant. Give us your money. The girl who played Maya, I think was it Maida? She also, as a child actor, got to give her due. She was very good. She's great in the. She's played by Chelsea Rendon. She's great in the first sort of part of her character where she's got this amazing innocence that kids have and they want to help, and and that's what makes it all the more awful when that gets taken away from her. She is still acting as of 2023. 48 credits on IMDb. Wow. So she's not a child actor who quit. She did 18 episodes of a show called Vida, which is probably her biggest credit to date. Quite a few sort of Mexican orientated type things, and a few other things as well, and shorts and all sorts. So yeah, I thought she was really good in it. Has to be said. Here she is again. So there's a couple of other supporting cast I want to give shout outs to. John Marrett was good in this role, to be fair. He was perfectly cast as obviously he spent a day with Tox to research this role as the grumpy policeman. Got Elizabeth Rodriguez as Acevedo's really annoying PA. She went on to have a massive role in
Orange is the New Black.
A New Black. I've always thought quite highly of her. Lucinda Jenny is fantastic in this part.
Yeah, she is.
She's she plays it with a lot of layers, and she's almost kind of psycho in a way, you know.
The other villain of the series.
Yeah, she has a go at Dutch, and then she kind of retreats and sort of pretends to be all kind of Mary Poppins again. And yeah, she's a bit of a nasty piece of work. So great job from her. This is Kristen Bell, who I'm sure you guys will recognise. She's just got the one scene, but she's great, and she's done absolutely loads of other stuff.
Yeah, she's really young here, though. This was before Heroes. I mean, even The Good Place.
This is before Veronica Mars, where she really.
Yeah, this is right at the beginning. This is right at the beginning of her career. Right at the beginning, and she's great in this scene. It's a really, I mean, that scene went on her show reel and got her those other jobs. So
it did. Yep.
Yeah, you can see why she did all right. Mark Rolston is great. It's always nice to see him getting more work. I feel he's a bit underused in Hollywood, just generally, and I have a feeling, shamefully, that's to do with his political views.
It probably is. I think he is a Christian in real life, and Hollywood do not.
I don't care what people's things are with all this. I don't care who they vote for. Are they a good actor? Are they right for the part? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And I think he's a solid actor, and we should see more of him. I love him in Shawshank Redemption.
I could be a friend to you.
Yeah. Toxic said that line to so many people. Want to give Cedric Pendleton a shout out. I really rated him in season 1. I think he's great in this. And kind of playing the gangster roles. They're always quite difficult to. You don't have a lot of dialogue. The dialogue is always pretty similar. You don't get chance to really give your characters many layers. But I quite like the way that Cedric made him quite sensitive, and he cares about his men. And when we see him with his family, which is in the next episode, there's just a bit more to him. A weaker actor would have played him. Danny Pino, of course, amazing. Fantastic. Borrowed Inside Man's underpants for that shot. There was one
That's
other.
So true.
Are you here to risk people conceal the weapons?
Yeah. So there was one other actor I wanted to give a shout out to who I thought was pretty good, and I know there's pictures of him because I've gone past them already. Okay, this lady's very good, Monet Michelle. We're going to see a lot more of her in season 2. Very solid character actor. Still working today. She's great. I thought TJ Hall was good as the kid as well. Another great child actor. They always get great child actors.
They do pretty well with these child actors, even though they put them in a very harsh TV show where
doing heavy scenes. Heavy scenes.
Yeah.
He's not still acting, sadly. He did 7 acting jobs, including 4 episodes of The Shield. Then he did an episode of ER, and that was it for him. So
he's still lucky. A lot of these child actors probably will end up retiring, probably find some other work somewhere. It's a lot of them have.
Listen, he's probably a real estate broker making more money than all of us put together.
Right.
Yeah, I thought this guy was very good. Omar, I don't know how you pronounce that, Angiogano, perhaps Angiogano. But I thought he was good. Got a good look, and liked what he did with his character. Again, he didn't have a lot to do. But he managed to make himself stand out. only 3 acting jobs on IMDb, so I'm guessing he did a bit of it when he was young and moved on to other things. Maybe he started a real estate company with the kid, but I thought it was good. So that's all the supporting cast. So of the guest cast, so this is none of our regular characters. Of the guest cast only for this episode, who was your favorite? And people in the chat, you can join in. You can put the name of your favorite guest cast actor. They've got to be a speaking role. Now, I mean, I'm tempted to go for Danny Pino because he's great. He's exceptionally good, actually. But I'm going to avoid that because there's other episodes where we're going to get to talk about him. Lucinda Janae is probably the next obvious choice, but I'm gonna give it to Cedric Pendleton. Why are you laughing?
No, you read my mind every time. I don't.
Are you picking the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, so Inside Man and me both picking Cedric Pendleton.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just think that there's a real charisma about him that just a little bit of a Fred Williamson feel about.
Yeah, I can see that
his character.
I can see that.
Yeah, I just like the charisma that we kind of get from him. There's a really nice vibe coming from him as a character, but he's acting. I love it. I think it's a really nice.
He's got quite a sort of effortless. I'm sure there was a picture of him.
Yes,
he's got an effortless presence, isn't he?
It's a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
Very natural actor, very naturally gifted. Okay, Darth, who are you picking for your guest actor of the week?
The lady that's precinct that's investigating Al Qaeda. I like that the portrayal of that character.
Sorry, due to the amazing quality of your mic, could you tell me that again?
Yeah, the fan below. The lady that's investigating Acevedo at the district.
Right.
Precinct,
that's
while I'm on this,
Lucinda Jenny. Yep.
Yeah. While I'm on this topic, I want to ask you a question. You're just talking about T.O. You're absolutely right about what he says. He seems like a natural actor. He's a great character, which makes me ask, why was he in the series for such a short period of time?
Well, I mean, he was in season 1. He's in season 2, but he
wasn't in one for very long.
No, he was introduced towards the end of season 1. I think he did about 4 eps.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, they're bringing in these big heavy hitters, Mexican heavy hitters to clean house. That's what happens. So, it's a shame. I would have liked to have seen him in the show for a lot longer, actually. Because then actually his death could have been even more poignant if we'd had him for a couple more episodes.
Yeah.
I did talk about Corinne's arc, and we've only done the first episode. Okay, so that's Darth's pick. Tox, who's your guest of the week?
Yeah, guest of the week would definitely go to Mr. Ralston. I like the whole. You know me. I always have a soft spot for any of the low tier. The kind of struggling PI thing. He's such a schmoozer, and now that I've been in the business for as many years as I have, I see all the stuff that he's doing. I mean, he's very earnest. He's probably pretty loyal to Vic, but at the same time, he doesn't miss a trick in trying to squirm some extra money out of him.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Is the 50 grand really needed for that entire network?
And there's no. Oh yeah, do you want me to spoil it? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a connected Americana PI net. When I heard that and he said it out loud, I laughed out loud. Hysterically. I was like, he's totally pumping Vic for cash.
So basically he's probably sending another one PI to just sort of do some of the legwork.
Exactly. Dan, you got it. You could. You know what? You need to get in the business there. You need to.
Yeah, I know, man. I'd probably be pretty good. I've got myself a fake beard and dark glasses already, so I'm raring to go. No, I like Mark Ralston. Good choice. Northern.
I was going to say the same thing, Mark Ralston, because he only has a short scene, but he always makes a good impression. He always seems to make a good impression whenever he pops up on either a movie or a TV show. He's got that face. He looks like he could be a bit of a sleazebag, even though he seems like he might be a nice guy in real life. And that's
Rolston doesn't need to do very much in the scene. Yeah. He only needs to do a little to take you, either soft or hard with his character, depending on what he wants to convey. Because he's got that look. He's got
a great
face.
Old school movie face. I would like to see him do a private detective movie set in the 40s or 50s or something.
Yeah.
He's got that look, doesn't he?
Yeah, it looks like a guy who's seen way too much stuff and he can't really escape it.
It's like an American Craig Fairbrass.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Well, you will do, because he'll be. What's all this? Okay.
If you've seen the Sarah Connor Chronicles, you'll know who he is. He's a big, good British actor. There's a lot of gangsters as well, and he looks fucking hard as well. You like him?
Excellent. All right. So, of our leads, so this is our main cast. That's anybody who's stationed in the barn, who is also in season 1. Who are we going to give standout performance of the episode to? Never easy, but you can only pick one. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because everybody gets a fair bit of equal screen time.
Yeah.
In this episode, everybody gets a fair bit. I mean, I'm probably gonna give it to Michael Chiklis for me. So, he ramps up Mackie, keeps him consistent, amazing energy. So I'm going to give it to him for this one. So Inside Man.
It's difficult not to give it to Michael Chiklis. I mean, I like the way things are starting to develop between Mackie and Acevedo. There's a kind of a little bit of a turn going on there, a little bit of a turning of a corner, or is it? But what can you say? You can't take it away from Chiklis, can you? I just can't. I couldn't give my favorite of the episode to anybody else. Favorite.
Okay. Guess number 3, Michael Chiklis impersonator. Who are you gonna give the stand-up?
Yeah, how does my channel?
Was that Chiklis as well?
It was.
Okay, cool. All right, good. We need subtitles for Darth. Got to get you a new microphone for Christmas. Oh fuck, we just missed Christmas. Tox.
Yeah, I switched over. I love Chiklis in this. But I thought Benito, the Captain Acevedo, I really like the switch. I've always that trope of two antagonists teaming up together against another common enemy for whatever the reason. That always tickles me in storytelling. I really like that, and I like the way that you can see the shift in Acevedo. He's switching from police captain into politician mode.
Yeah,
especially his interactions with Lucinda Jenny. What is her character's name? Is it
she's got a really similar name to her actual name.
Is it Lainey Ellis?
Laney, isn't it? Is it Laney?
Laney Ellis, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the little tete-a-tete between the two of them near the end of the episode where she reveals that it's kind of him that is going, and he gives her that kind of slick, like, I know I'm in charge of this kind of crap show here, but you know what? Guess what? I'm on my way out, and I got my 17 points. And he makes it. He kind of has. He's got really great crackling dialogue. Yeah. I like the way. I wish they would have had more scenes together. I wish he would have had more scenes with his assistant, as far as that goes. By the way, I think she's criminally underused. But I like everything he does in here. I like how you can kind of see him maneuvering between Mackie, the political stuff, and everything. I love it. I love the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. Acevedo is. He's a fantastic actor. I really do rate Benito Martinez and everything he does. Fantastic. Northern.
Yeah, I go for Vic Mackey. It's just the fact that we're seeing him kind of being a bit more vulnerable as well, but at the same time he's still keeping in control. But yeah, that image of him. Pardon you, Lance. That's that image of him eating
eating bloody microwave food out of the tray. That just looks a little sad as well. I almost felt a little bit sorry for him there. But he's still badass. He's still kind of crazy. He's still very morally ambiguous at times. You kind of don't want to cheer him on, but he's so bloody entertaining. You can't help it. But yeah. And Michael Chiklis, once again, just knocks it out of the bloody park. Yeah. He just nails it.
Indeed he does. Very true.
At the risk of saying Michael Chiklis for every episode, I'm going to go with Activator.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying him for episode 2. I already know who I've got for episode 2. So, all right, okay. Right, standout moment. We'll kind of combine these. They don't have to be the same, but you can do both at the same time. Your favorite scene from this episode or favorite moment, and your standout line. I'm going to go first. My favorite line in the episode was Vic talking to Shane. What level is that? Prison. When Shane says, "I'm taking it to the next level," I thought that was such a good comeback.
Good line.
Good line. Writer on this episode is Shawn Ryan. So pundits to him. My favorite, I don't want to use the word favorite, but the standout scene for me, it's probably just in terms of emotional impact. It's probably when, that Dutch and Wims find the daughter wandering, and we see, as soon as we see she's got the plaster on her face, like a chill. I remember the first time I saw this episode, a chill just went straight through my body. And, again, that's good writing, good acting, good direction. Yeah, so for me, that scene, I liked all the stuff in Tijuana, I will say, but that scene had the biggest emotional impact. So, Inside Man, favorite line, favorite scene?
I mean, the dialogue in this is absolutely sparking. It's fizzing dialogue. It's such brilliantly written dialogue for each of the characters. And for me, I don't know. I don't know in terms of dialogue, in terms of scenes. I mean, I would agree with everything that you've actually said. However, the scene for me that really makes that turns the episode, is the final scene. It's the last scene between Vic and Acevedo, as Northern was saying. He's sitting there and he's eating this TV dinner. This crummy TV dinner, and Acevedo comes in, and it's almost like, things have been shit for me, but I got Acevedo coming around to my crummy pad, and he's kind of offering me some kind of deal, if you like. We're I think I'm going to be okay. There's a little bit of a look on his face, as he starts cramming the food into his face again, where it's like, I think things are going to be okay for me. Actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And it was that scene. It was that kind of, now we're, we've visioned the shape of things to come. I think from that final scene, I really like it. I love the interaction between the pair of them, the way they sort of smile off each other. Lovely scene. Lovely scene.
Great stuff. Tox, do you have a favorite line or scene?
Yeah, I put it in the chat. It's Acevedo telling him, this is what I expect, this is what I need, and hey, you better find your game. And Vic, I never lost it.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Northern.
Hey Mo, your sister's ass really tastes as sweet as Alvarez here says it does.
Oh my God, that's a good line. Yeah, I forgot about that one. It's when they take that guy and they threaten to drop him off in the Niners territory.
Yeah.
Old cop trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost feel sorry for the guy as well who's about to get his ass capped. You almost know.
You make some comment about her eating corn or something. I can't.
No, he said, does your sister's ass taste as good as Manuel says it does? What's your mama been putting in the cornbread?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, that is funny. Darth, are you back with us?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, slightly clearer. Do you have a favorite line and or moment from this episode before we move on?
Yeah, I thought the best line scene together was this part where Acevedo goes to Vic's house and they have that entire day contact, the whole Machiavellian exchange.
Yeah.
For me, I thought was the best episode because it's you could almost make that episode 14 from last season, but in this case, it's a good way to open the series. It pressages the rest of the season.
Yeah,
sets things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I like Machiavellian stuff. What can I say? So that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's that dancing with the devil kind of thing, isn't it?
I do want to give Jay Carnes a special shout out. It's so funny because like Dutch can't get a break in this episode. He's constantly trying to impress that woman who he knows is assessing everyone, and he actually manages, even though he's a fairly decent detective, he actually by his own actions he manages to make himself look completely incompetent, and that increases in the next episode. Which is it's well played. Okay, so ratings out of 10. I'm going to give this episode an 8. Inside Man,
definitely a 9 for me. I mean, it's almost very nearly a 10, but yeah, it's a 9. I thought it was a great start to the season.
Yeah, agree. Tox,
I give it an 8. It's gone down in my, it's not as good as I remember it, and all the technical and Hollywood stuff in it that's not at all possible stretched believability for me.
Yeah.
As much as I'm enjoying rewatching it with the girlfriend, having another cop in the room is kind of making it difficult. She's like, "Are you serious? This is your cop show?" I'm like, "All right, honey, it's a TV show. Stop it." So,
are you losing on the handcuff bets and this kind of thing? That's
easy, careful.
Probably not good. Probably not good for you. All right, yeah. So 8 out of 10. Thank you. Northern.
I think he dipped out for a second.
He dipped out? Okay.
Yeah.
Darth, what's your rating out of 10?
I'd give it a 9.
9. Okay. So Northern. 9. Okay, thanks, Northern. All right, good.
I hope he hears this. I'm going to clip that and play that for him later.
We'll move on. Sorry, right, okay. Let's how I'm going to get through reading the synopsis for this next one. I don't know.
Inside Man. Hey, Lance. Hey, everybody. Let's be as professional as possible, but still have fun. We can. And Northern says you can still take the piss out of me. And Lance is like, challenge accepted, my friend. Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, we've got to have a bit of fun. Northern, are you back?
Yeah, just come back now.
What's your rating out of 10 for this episode?
Yeah, I give it a good 9 out of 10.
Hey, yeah, that's exactly what you said 3 minutes ago. That's amazing. Fantastic. Okay.
Watch this back, mate. Watch this.
I know I'm gonna have to. I was like,
we weren't sure if it was you shouting from the kitchen, so we weren't sure. Okay, right. Let's move on to episode 2, Dead Soldiers. What's really interesting about this episode is it's directed by none other than John Badham, who
really?
Yeah, he directed War Games with Matthew Broderick, which is one of my favorite 80s movies.
Stakeout was another one of his.
He did Stakeout. I think he did the first Stakeout.
Blue Thunder,
Blue Thunder. Didn't he do one of the Cannonball Runs? I think he did one of the Cannonball Run movies.
That I don't know.
But I mean, I know, he's done a lot of movies with big chases, big action scenes, and I thought that's interesting. I was really kind of looking at the stuff in the show and seeing if I could see any Badham trademarks in Dead Soldiers. What's this noise?
I don't know.
Okay. I think it's coming from north of the wall. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me try and rock through the plot of Dead Soldiers quickly, and we'll break it down. Okay, so it's directed by John Badham. It's written by Kurt Sutter. We open with a load of Mexican gangbangers having a barbecue. Someone's getting tattooed. There's a boa snake there. Strike team turn up, spoil their day. And basically what we realise is that these guys who were formerly members of a different Mexican gang are now re-inking themselves to become loyal to Armadillos. Strike team leave their cards behind. They've got their little cards they leave, a bit like the ICF, for anyone who knows what that means.
Yeah.
Then we cut to a comic store, which has been burnt out. Do we have stills for this, by the way, from anyone?
Yeah, I was just messaging you. It's right there. It's in the. Are you not able to access them? Nope, the other one. Nope,
there we go.
The other one. Nope, the other one.
The other one?
The one that says season 2, episode 2.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Right. Just gonna try. All right. No background noise. Good. All right. Very good. So let us continue. Yeah. So the comic store's been burnt out. That's basically T.O.'s drug crib. Shane and co go via T.O. to sort of, speak to him. There's a pig that's been left in the burnt out comic store with the strike team's card stuck in with a knife. Wims, because Wims is already working the Armadillo rape case, she says, this is my case. Vic knows that because T.O. and him are working together, he wants it to be his case. So in order to, when Claudette threatens to bring down fire and brimstone, Acevedo makes them work together. And I think we talked about this episode briefly in season 1, with both me and Tox saying that episode where Vic and Claudette are forced to work together is so great. And it would have been great if we'd seen more of that. And we didn't get it, sadly.
Yeah.
So we cut to titles. Vic visits Armadillo, breaks into his house, puts him in the cage, tries to think of something to keep him there. Dutch and Claudette are sort of looking for T.O. and, of course, Vic and Claudette. And at the end of the day, Vic wants to keep Claudette away from him before he's had a word with him so he can kind of fully brief him. Acevedo, meanwhile, is running interference because we've got the city official. So Acevedo runs interference and assigns the civilian lady to Dutch because they say a city official has been shot. And you think it's going to be a councilman, but it actually turns up to be a meter maid. So, because they are still city officials. Vic and Shane go and visit T.O.'s mother's place. You kind of see him with his kid. They have a conversation about keeping him off the street, etc., and Vic basically honors to protect him. In the meantime, Claudette has got the safe out of the burnt out comic store. T.O. has told Vic that there's a ledger in the safe. Now we've got the sort of the secondary subplot in this episode, which, when you consider how close this was to 9/11, is quite an interesting one. Because this was 2002, I think, this season. We have a subplot where two neighbors are constantly fighting. One of them is an Arab, the other one is an African-American woman, and she's constantly accusing the Arab of being a terrorist. And Julian and Danny get called out on numerous occasions, with that escalating and escalating and escalating. So Vic has got his guy to come and open the safe, tries to get him to deliberately sabotage the contents, but that doesn't work. Dutch, meanwhile, is tracking down people who basically had parking tickets to see if he can find out who basically got them the meter maid shot. While he's there, it's a great scene with Dutch with this guy that's on screen now.
Yeah, right here.
He tries to use his charm to get to get a ticket that he got when he was in front of a courthouse, which sounds like a reasonable thing that he should really get dismissed. And he tries to get the guy to dismiss it for him. And just as Lenny is coming out of the bathroom, the civilian investigator, he basically blurts out, "I don't fix parking tickets, sir." So again, Dutch is looking incompetent in front of her, or looking dodgy, even though he's probably the cleanest detective in the barn.
Claudette.
Yeah, Claudette. Yeah, except for Claudette. That's true. Claudette manages to get into the safe. She finds the book. She realizes T.O. is making payments to a landlord. That landlord, of course, we know is Vic. Vic and Wims track down Tio. Vic convinces Claudette to let him go in first so he can prep him. Meanwhile, the PI, Mark Rolston's character, has followed Corinne, tracked her down to Phoenix, and informs us she's going to be getting a flight coming into LAX later. Wims grills Tio while Vic goes to arrest the firebug suspect, but he doesn't actually do that. He decides to watch the interrogation on the video. So far, so good. Tio's kind of keeping his mouth shut. Shane and Co, meanwhile, go and grab the most likely guy who is the firebug. Dutch investigates a delivery guy who has a ton of tickets. The fire guy gets brought in, and Tio identifies him, but then we realise that even though they're setting him up to take the fall for the fire, it's the wrong guy because he's got a bald head. And there's a great line from Acevedo where he says, "You want to put both our careers in this guy's hands." So Wims is still going at Theo. Dutch goes at another witness. Vic manages to get Tio released when Wims gets sent out of the building to investigate another fire by Acevedo, and he gets Tio and the Ledger out the building. Dutch is kind of in the lunchroom talking to the civilian, and he basically is going through the various potential suspects for the Meter Maid murder and says Barney Plonkin or Plokin or whatever his name is way too passive. And then, of course, literally no sooner as he said that, one of the detectives comes back and says, "Hey, he tested positive for gunshot residue." So again, he rules the suspect out in front of the auditor, only for then that person to become the prime suspect a few seconds later. When he interrogates that guy, the guy confesses that it was him. He was fed up of the woman giving him tickets when his tyre was only 3 inches into the red zone. Anyone who's been up against a parking warden in London will know exactly what this guy is moaning about. The real firebug guy, meanwhile, turns himself in order to get into the same prison as the rest of his gang members. Claudette, at this point, realizes that something's up, and she confronts Vicky and Acevedo in the office. There's a big blow-up argument. She storms out. Then he comes in, as in the civilian auditor. Is there a problem? And Vic's line is, "No, just a difference of opinion. Keeps us all honest." I love that line. That was a great line. Julian and Danny have to go back to the neighbor dispute. The black African-American female pulls a knife, as a result of which Saeed pulls a gun. They manage to disarm the lady with the knife, but Saeed doesn't put the gun down, so Danny is forced to kill him. It's a clean shoot. Acevedo comes along, clears her. Tio, meanwhile, informs Mackie that 3 of his dealers have gone missing. Loads of his soldiers have disappeared. Shane puts a convincing argument and agrees with Tio that they need to put Armadillo 6 feet under right now. Lenny is caught puking up in the toilets. I actually thought that was Danny at first, and that was going to be part of her pregnancy storyline, but that doesn't come until later. And then Dutch makes the mistake of asking Lenny for a date, even though he's technically still seeing somebody, he says. The PI takes Vic to a motel where there's another PI who's actually been hired by Corinne to protect her, who's this huge, you know who he reminds me of? The guy from the Jack Reacher show. I mean, he's about the same size.
Alan Richardson.
Yeah, Alan Richardson. It's like same size, same look, you know.
Yeah.
And this is then something happens that we don't see very often, which is when he's taking them out of the hotel to safety, and Corinne is just, you know, she's scared of Vic. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Vic actually gets picked up and thrown in the trash. And he also realizes that the PI is actually investigating him in order to build a case for Corinne so that she can keep the kids and get custody and basically get him in trouble. And of course, he doesn't need that. Then suddenly Mackie gets a call. Tio's on the other end of the call screaming. And then we cut to Tio's body and it's found burned. Vic is now looking very, very Hulk-like. The strike team visit Armadillo. Vic smashes him up really bad, puts his face on a burning grill. The team have to pull him off. And this is really actually the first time that I think we see Vic completely lose his mental faculties totally. And that beautifully, concretely sets up Armadillo as the villain for the season, and we can see he's mentally impacted as well. He's not laughing at this point. He's crying. He's just had half his face burned. He's it scarred him for life. And that is the end of episode 2, season 2. Okay, so let's get into the supporting. Well, let's get into overview first. Overview of the episode. My thoughts on it are: it was a really good episode. Very strong, great performances all round. Continued and set up a number of existing narratives really well, particularly like the play with Dutch and Lenny, where he just keeps fucking up. Great job from Jay Carnes, as always, playing Dutch. The subplot with Julian and Danny kind of felt very on the nose, but it was very It was a true depiction and reflection of those times. That sort of stuff was happening right across America in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. So it feels on the nose now, but it probably felt very on point. So I'm going to let that slide. Great episode. I'm pretty happy with it. I thought it was a really, really solid. I'll give my final score later. Inside Man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the moment where, or the point in this where we start to see Dutch falling apart a little bit. Sorry, not Dutch. Sorry, Vic falling apart a little bit. Where he's starting to panic. You can feel Vic's panic now. Things are really not going his way. In terms of the Julian and Danny plot with the neighborhood dispute and everything, I kind of thought that was padding, really. You're absolutely right. I mean, at the time, it was almost certainly a very relevant thing because of the distance of time between 9/11 and the making of this episode. But on reflection, it does feel like padding. Again, with a Meter Maid storyline as well, I think that kind of felt a little bit like padding. I wanted to see the entire episode. Acevedo, Dutch, Claudette, that whole storyline, the Vic falling apart, Acevedo, covering his arse, and Claudette gradually finding these little nuggets, these little bits and pieces that are gradually, uncovering what Vic is really about. But having said that, it was a terrific episode. I, again, hit the ground running. A very, very, very good second episode.
Yeah, she's constantly like 2 steps ahead of him because
I mean,
detective.
Yeah, she is. She really is that dog with a bone, isn't she?
Yeah,
she really is. I loved her in this. I loved her.
Great stuff. Tox, just overview on the episode and general thoughts.
Much better. By the way, if you access the other set of slides, then you can pull that up and do what you want with them. But much better episode than the season 2 number 1. I like this one better. I think they improve upon it a lot with the story. There's a lot less stuff that stretches believability. Good show. Everybody's firing on all cylinders. Maybe the Meter Maid thing could have been handled a little better because they really are putting it to Dutch in these episodes. I kind of don't like Dutch the punching bag. I don't really care for that trope that they do in the show. I like seeing Dutch, do his thing because he is a great detective.
Yeah.
So I can kind of do without that. I know why. I get it. It serves the plot, but at the same time, it's not my favorite thing. But yeah, I like the whole private detective versus private detective and everything that's going on with that big meathead guy is exactly what would happen if the ex-wife was trying to get the husband on the back foot. That's exactly what she would do, and that's how a PI would handle it. So I thought that stuff was great. So
yeah, I like that scene, and the scene somehow, even though you're kind of rooting for Vic some of the time, the scene where he gets thrown in the trash cans was kind of cool. Okay, Northern.
Yeah, I do kind of like this better than the first one, even though I agree with Inside Man and Toxic on the Meter Maid storyline. It does pad it out, and yeah, I do agree with Toxic on Dutch. I mean, he had this really good storyline with the serial killer in the first season. Now he's just back to being who he was in before the serial killer storyline.
Yeah,
and it kind of devolves his character a little bit, regresses him.
Good point. That's a really good point. Yeah,
and still have him be the Doc, but have him be a bit more improved than he was last time. And it's still funny. And we got Vic being betrayed by his wife, and that that she's sending someone to investigate him and pretty much ruin him. I mean, God, that is really good. That really does add more layers to him as well. That really gives him something to really give his character some kind of stakes, for lack of a better term. And I really do like CCH Pounder as winner here. She's kind of being aware about Acevedo and Vic, but now the fact that it's kind of their methods are starting to bleed out in her case. I mean, she is not liking it one bit, and I think it almost comes across like she might be a little bit more skeptical about working with these two later on.
Very good. Darth, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm fine with how they did Dutch's character, so as long as he's not a bad detective per se, because that's just his personality quirks. It's hey, are you okay? Were you vomiting in the bathroom? You didn't eat anything bad, are you? You want to have a date? Like, really? That's where you're gonna go right after seeing it. It does seem like they're kind of dumbing him down a bit, but he kind of clueless. Like, he's in the room with the monitor. He's like, well, what's going on? Like, why aren't you doing that? They're kind of making him look kind of dumb. So I don't necessarily.
I think that's a fair criticism, although not all of the characters can be on their A game all of the time.
I thought that the whole thing with the Muslims was well, you already said it. You hit it. It's a bit too on the nose. I thought it was a bit too on the nose even in those days. Now, it was a thing in those days. There was definitely an uptick in vandalism of mosques and Arabs being picked on, Muslims being picked on in the States. That's true. That did happen. But the problem with this episode is that doesn't seem like that's what they were doing, because the Arab guy, he had quite a mouth on him. He was saying, like, your dog should be put to sleep. If they want to make him look sympathetic, don't have him say stuff like that. I didn't agree with that at all.
And not with a gun around heavily armed officers as well, but
and it's funny actually, because there was a moment in that where I thought, hang on a minute, there's a line in this that I thought, that was definitely added on. And it was the line when Danny turned around and said, well, somebody who, 19 people who look like your twin brother, took out 3,000 Americans.
Yeah.
When it cut to that, and I thought that looked like it was added in. It was shot afterwards.
Yeah.
It just
that landed with a thud. That landed
it was
with
like
a thud. That
it was.
That was a bad line.
It was. Really was a bit of a groan moment. I thought that was the poorest part of the entire episode.
I feel like I feel like, I mean, we obviously won't know the story to this, but feels like maybe there was a bit of because it was FX who funded this channel. I wonder if somebody higher up meddled a bit and said, you know what, we need a bit of 9/11 in here. We need a bit of this. We need that. You got to say that line. Yeah, that line feels like it probably wasn't in the original episode script. I think
if you look at the stuff with Danny and Julian and the guy, it flows, and then you have that cutaway, and it's a profile shot of her.
Yeah,
and it just looks really clunky. It's a really bad, it almost looks like it's you know, it's definitely something that was done way after, that was shot way after. I think it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right.
We should check our hair threads for continuity.
Good point, actually. That's actually not a bad point, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see it happening if it was like, say, the day after 9/11, where tensions were really high.
Well,
like in the aftermath of Pearl Harbor, there were people standing on the streets of San Francisco picking up whatever they could find, like 2x4. Let's go find Japanese to beat up. They did. They literally did that. So but that doesn't seem like what's going on here. Moving on to the part about Vic, I thought Inside Man laid out pretty well about how Vic's falling apart. Well, how is it falling apart? The thing about the marriage, obviously, is falling apart. The situation with T.O. is really coming to a head with Wims. So Wims is being caged over T.O. as a CI. Then you had the issue with the safe. Like, well, what are you doing? Don't you know how to do a safe? And Vic is being completely cagey about T.O. Wims knows that something's up. And then the thing about the ID, and then the ledger. Now, I'll get back to the ledger a bit later, but just to elaborate on what Inside Man was about Vic falling apart. Yeah, it's falling apart already.
Yeah.
I'll close with the part about Armadillo. Armadillo almost comes across as a dumb criminal because he's acting like. Look, I like his character. Don't get me wrong. The great's a great actor, but he's sitting there acting like, oh, no problem, officer. I have no guns in the house.
I mean,
warrant. You have to. He's acting as if Vic is a law-abiding officer. He's not.
I seem to recall, and I guess we'll know next week. But I seem to recall that it's actually set up. He wants Vic to attack him because he then goes and makes a claim against him, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
But I don't know if you're inciting Vic to do that just by speaking like that.
No, he definitely is premeditated. Everything that he does is extremely smart, convict, premeditated stuff. Everything, to include the taking off of his clothes and stuff like that. That's like a power move in the joint. And all of the stuff that he's doing is to antagonize Vic. He's a real good chess player here, this guy.
Yeah.
What was the one more thing I wanted to say? I'll remember later.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on.
Melting. It's melting.
And then let it melt. Just put it over there.
I just wanted to make sure it was okay.
What? Okay. We'll mute Darth Plato. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Okay. So all right. Moving on. Let's talk about standout guest actor of the week. So the choices are you've got Mark Rolston again. You've got Lucinda Jenny again, who plays Lanny Kenlise, who's the meddling civilian auditor woman. We have Danny Pino again. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong cast list here. Let me double check. I've got that right. Double check.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. I think all of them are in it anyway. Yeah, that's right. Then you've got a couple of you've got a couple of other guest people that we've got Naveed Nagaban, who played Zaid, who's the would-be terrorist who isn't a terrorist. We have Man Onfonso, who is the the non-firebug, who we think might be the firebug, but it's not him. Lisa Renee Pitts plays the aggressive African-American neighbor. Raphael J. Noble plays the parking guy. You got Michael Dunn. He was pretty good actually in this little scene. I thought he did a really good job of kind of making himself stand out in a really small scene. We've got Dylan Haggerty, who is the woman who actually killed the meter maid, who does come across as some sort of potential serial killer. So I thought, and this is Lisa Renee Pitts, who's a pretty significant acting career. Cedric Pendleton again. So for me, the guest actor on this episode, I'm probably going to give it to Danny Pino. I really like what he does with that closing shot. Everybody was very good. Lisa Renee Petz was very good. Cedric Pendleton was great again, but I gave episode 1 to him. So this is Benito Martinez, actual live reaction to our decisions that we're making here this week. Yeah, so I'm going to give it to Danny Pino for episode 2. I like what he does with the character, and I particularly liked his expression at the end of the episode here. So there's some pretty hardcore, serious acting there. Inside Man.
Yeah, I think you're taking some kind of mind-bending, mind-reading drugs here, because
there's my reaction live. That's what my face looks like right now when you're saying that.
But yeah, Danny Pino, I mean, he really does deliver on this episode in particular. I think, he gives you everything you want from somebody that you want to hate, and you hate him. You want to kick the hell out of him. It was great. It was absolutely terrific. I mean, Cedric Pendleton again, another. It was a very, very close second, but it's got to be Danny Pino, to be honest with you. I loved him in this. Loved him in it.
Lord Tox.
Yep. Same. I can't. I mean, I wish I could say a different one just so I could have a different opinion and expound on something else. But I mean, this is really this is the best. And in fact, a light foreshadowing. This is the last big thing. He's obviously the big bad of this season, but it's also like he gets the most screen time in this, and you really see, even though it costs him a lot, you really get to see the machinations of what he's done, and he definitely pulled Mackie, and I mean, he got lucky with the fact that Mackie was also dealing with the Corinne divorce situation, but I mean, he really had Mackie's buttons pushed throughout this entire episode, and everything he did was very strategic, and I liked it. And he played it perfectly, like a real psychopath.
Yeah, I agree. Northern.
I think we're already praising Danny Pino, and yeah, I do agree he is really good. But I think I'll go for someone a little bit different, and that might be Raphael J. Noble as the meter maid's boss. Just the fact that he takes his job way too bloody.
Yeah,
serious.
I did like him. He was good, wasn't he? He was really good.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, we're out there risking our lives. It's like you just putting parking meters. You're not kicking down doors to heavily armed drug dealers, mate.
Yeah.
But
he has done 42 acting credits. It looks like his last ones were just pre-pandemic. So he also was on an episode of Sons of Anarchy playing an office manager, possibly the same character, promoted
Same guy.
Same
guy.
I did like him. I thought he was good. So
I think the reason I would suggest that we like him is because we have met so many people like that.
Yeah, very true.
So many Jobsworths.
It just makes it funny as well. It's kind of the mundanity of it.
Yeah. Good choice.
Darth, do you have a favourite guest actor this week? And you're currently muted. Oh yeah, hang on. I might need to unmute you due to the strange interference we had. There we go.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned that because I see his face on TV. That's the guy I was going to say, because I love this scene because he reminds me of my high school principal.
Oh, okay.
He was a nice guy, but he was really firm, real straight laces, keep your nose clean kind of guy.
Well,
keep your nose so clean you can eat off of it.
That's probably the best kind of high school principal.
Yeah.
Nice but firm kind of thing. All right. Okay. Well, we'll move on to the actual leads. Who claims this episode for you? Northern, do you have the episode to hand by any chance?
I've not got the slides for this episode.
No, not the slides. Do you have the episode around? Can you put it up?
I can try, yes. Let me try, because if you I'm on.
And if you would take it to if you would just cue up the confrontation scene between Claudette, Acevedo, and Vic, please, for me. Because I'm going to risk playing a little bit. We played little bits before and we got away with it. So as long as they're quick. So while that's happening, Inside Man, who's your standout lead for this episode?
Standout lead. It's a toss up between Acevedo and Claudette, to be honest with you. I think Acevedo, he's really again, I just love the way that he's starting to cover for Vic, and he's watching his back quite a bit, and you're seeing him going into a little bit of a panic as well. There's a few moments there where he starts to get very flustered and very open-mouthed and wide-eyed when Claudette starts to uncover a few things that she doesn't know that she's actually uncovered yet. And it's his jaw is almost dropping, and he's panicking. He's in Vic's shoes here. He's kind of in Vic's shoes where he's starting to realize that there are things to worry about. So I'd give it to I'd give it to him.
Let's watch can you unmute this? Let's watch a quick bit of this scene.
Okay.
Whack the volume up so we can hear
looks
it.
like but the pieces I see are pretty.
Read 3 inches and she gave me a ticket.
Oh, what happened there? Presentation.
I have never interfered with how you run your
Leave it there.
team. Or how you run for office. I get to find a case.
Good line.
I'm going to find the truth. And if I have to go through both of you, I'll get it.
Yeah, that'll do. So, for me, hands down, I've got to give it to CCH Pounder for that scene alone. I mean, she's great in everything, but that's really the first time in the show. I mean, we've seen her confront Vic before, but that's the first time she's really had a pop at Acevedo.
Yeah.
And she's in the room with both of them and she doesn't care. I mean, which again, as Darth Plato says, she is the squeakiest clean. She's got the best moral compass of the bunch, Yeah. So, great, fantastic. So she gets it for me. Tox, did you mean this screen? Is this the screen you meant?
I mean, just if you wanted to pull up, those are just those aren't in any kind of sequential. Those are just, talking pieces. If you want to pull up random snippets of the episode, then you may do so, like if you felt like it. But it seems like you got a pretty good handle on what you're doing with things, so you don't really probably even need them. But
yeah, they're great for when I'm reading the kind of recap.
Yeah,
because I can't do slides at the same time as that. But
sure,
what I do is grab. Fortunately, the Shield's got quite a few good official stills.
It does
on IMDb, so I can grab the relevant actor that we're talking about. And neatly, that brings us on to Tox, your choice for lead actor of this episode.
She's on the screen, the great CCH Pounder, accept no substitutes, man. She really opens up with both barrels on these guys. You can see the frustration that she has because she's just a dogged senior detective that's she's just trying to do her job, man. She's got her partner keeps having to go babysit this auditor off of a thing that she had no, so she's having to kind of go solo on this stuff. I like the scene where she's got the safe on the little dolly cart and she's moving it. She doesn't ordinarily that would be Dutch doing it or another officer, but everybody else is busy and it's a great kind of showing how she's on her own doing this thing. Vic's not helping her out. He's working on his own stuff to try to CYA cover his ass. Acevedo's working on something similar, but in a political type thing. And she's got these two individuals that are just straight up working against her when she's just trying to be a detective and solve a case. And she's not trying to run for office. She's not trying to steal money. She's just she wants to punch her time card but she also wants to do a good job. And these guys keep submarining her at every single turn. And she's not stupid. And these guys are treating her like she is stupid, and she doesn't like it. She gets frustrated and just finally just blasts about it. And I love that scene. That scene was used in a lot of the follow-up trailers with the recap stuff for the rest of the season. And as well it should. I don't know if she ever won an Emmy for this show. I don't think she did, and that she definitely deserved it.
I'm not sure, actually. We maybe we'll check that later. But I mean, certainly the show was nominated for quite a few awards, but probably one less than it should. It got Program of the Year a couple of times. Michael Chiklis won a Golden Globe for it. She was nominated. She was nominated in numerous categories, but she wasn't. I don't think she was nominated for an Emmy. No, she was Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama.
Oh, great.
She was,
good then.
Yeah,
Good.
she was nominated in 2005. Sadly, didn't get it, which is a shame. But there we are. Yeah. Okay. Northern.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really obvious. It is CHH Pounder as Wynette.
A lot of love for CC.
I know, because she is right. She is absolutely right. She is one of the most honest coppers. She knows that Vicky's no angel. She knows Acevedo is a self-serving political stooge. But it's never really interfered with her how she conducts her work until now. And yet, this is the point where she says, "Enough is enough." And and she's just had this individual that's just done some really morally reprehensible things, and because of their bullshit, he's now walking, and it's all reflecting on her now as well. It's she's had this chance to put away this very sick individual, and maybe gain some closure to the victims, and they've completely messed it up. And enough is enough of it. And she is totally right. She's not a Girl Scout or anything, but she is an honest cop. She's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And she hasn't had to resort to political public imagery crap or any kicking down doors, and brutalizing criminals or framing people to do it.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to be able to sleep at night, basically, and also she particularly, I mean, this is a theme with her: crimes against women. There's definitely a history there with her, which I don't think is ever kind of revealed, but something definitely happened to her in the past. And I think anything to do with crimes against women, particularly children, she is on a mission to get those people convicted. Rightly so. Darth.
She's just a good person. Oh, yeah. Back to that. Yeah,
sorry, mate. Your time is up. Darth, who's your standout performer of the week? Can I leave the slide up?
I think this might be the first time the whole panel has been against the inside man, because I think I'm going to go with Claudette.
Trust me, there's been many times when the whole panel's been against the inside man.
Okay, but Claudette may not be political, but this is definitely the beginning of the crusade of Claudette.
Yeah.
Now, as far as what you saw, I think I said for the best scenes. Yeah, when we talk about the best scenes, I'll elaborate further. But, this is really like the moment where she really like, holy crap, this is deeper than that.
Yeah.
Well, on that segue, we'll move on to best scene for season 2, episode 2, and best line. The best line for me is probably when, Lenny comes in after the big bust up, so the scene we've just watched, and Mackie just goes, no, we just had a difference of opinion. Keeps us all honest, which is, it couldn't be further from the truth, which is why that line just landed so perfectly. And it's also the way he says it and the face. I do like the one from Acevedo, you want to put both our careers in this guy's hands, referring to Tio. That was a good line as well. And my favorite scene is the scene between the three of them. It's like a great scene on stage. I mean, what I wouldn't give to see CCH Pounder perform on stage, hopefully tick that box in my lifetime if she comes and does something in London. Yeah, so I mean, we're retreading old ground, but yeah, that's the scene for me, and that's the line for me. Inside Man.
I've got to be honest with you. It was when Vic says that line, "You're investigating me." I just love.
Yeah,
I love his delivery of that. It's like, Jesus Christ, this guy is, we can really start to see, there's something inside him that's actually scared. He's scared.
He's
He's
scared, and there's
scared.
also a bit of how dare you as well, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
know.
right. There's kind of a, you've got the audacity to investigate me, and there's a fear there. You can tell that there's something that's coming out. In terms of the my favorite scene, it's got to be, as everybody has already mentioned, it's that little sort of trio scene where I still think that Acevedo's, I know everybody is going to disagree with me and talk about CCH Pounder, but I think about Claudette, but I think that seeing Aceveda really starting to realize almost, Christ, I've got myself into something that I may not be able to get myself out of, and this woman is really probably the one that's going to drop me right in the shit.
Yeah, she's. I mean, Benito Martinez, brilliant actor as well. So
he's terrific. Yeah,
the two of them sort of going at each other's throats in the
Mm.
scene is always going to be quality
But
acting.
those three actors in the same room, what?
Yeah, I know, right?
What must that have been like, watching those three actors in that room at the same time and directing them? It must have been amazing. It must have been just crackling. The atmosphere must have been really, really crackling in that room, watching them three together. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
brilliant. Just brilliant. Loved it. Loved that scene.
Great. Tox, favorite line scene?
Oh man, this one, like I said, this one's a vast improvement on the first episode. Oh God, I think I probably like Vic Mackey's interaction with Armadillo at the end when he just completely, we call it crashing out.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
When, because it's just like everything has built up to this moment, both with his private life and his professional life. He's all these little near misses, and then the faux pas with the auditor and Claudette, and he's just like, you know what, this guy I'm not going to deal with this guy anymore. I'm going to get a little bit of street justice, and I'm just going after him. And that moment in time, he plays it so well. I myself have done that many times, and it's always costly, but it's like one of those things that, like, when you do it, and so when he's hitting him with he's like, oh, is this your law book? And you take this law book and shove it here and blah blah, and he just completely goes around the bend, and the very end of it, when he's kind of the aftermath, and he's kind of like thinking to himself, like, all right, I just went too far. I've just actually gone too far. And this is a guy in season 1 who has killed a brother cop. So this is what he's like. So when Vic Mackey's looking at what he's done, it is just kind of like, oh, too much.
Yeah, good stuff. Northern.
Best line is, I don't know what the puzzle is, but the pieces I see are pretty goddamn ugly.
Yeah, that's a good line. I do like that line.
Nice.
You like that line? Yeah, that's a good choice. Is it the same scene as well, or is there a different scene that you?
Yeah, it's the scene. It's the scene where CCH Pounder is calling Aceveda and Mick out on their bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Darth.
Okay. The best line, I think, it's a great moment of irony when he's with Tio and with Shane, and they're saying he's got to go 6 feet under tonight.
Yeah.
They're nodding at each other. But what did Vic say? He said, "Hey, calm down. Am I the only one here thinking straight?" There's a certain irony in that line compared to everything that we've seen in this episode. Like, he's the adult in the room, really. So that's my favorite line. As far as my favorite scene, as much as I like the showdown with Claudette and Vic and Acid Beta at the same time, it's a great scene. I'm not gonna take that away from you. But I think there's another scene that is kind of sneaking in underneath it. It's not so much what Claudette says. It's what sometimes you can say more with less. It's a little bit before that when Claudette walks in and has to be sitting there talking to Lanny and said, "I want to go talk. I'm gonna nail this on the deal, guys. Oh, we have to cut him loose." And she's like astonished. And the ledger? Oh, the ledger's gone. And that's the moment where Claudette realizes.
Yeah,
she doesn't say it.
Yeah.
She doesn't say it. She doesn't say it, but she's like, "Oh my God, Acid Beta's in on it."
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the moment
that's right.
she realized Acid Beta's in on it. Because
Good
this whole time
choice.
she's been focused on Rick. She's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
focused on Rick the whole time. That's the moment where she's like, whoa.
yeah. That's it. There's it's a revelation. It's the penny is there's a penny that's dropped there. There's something, something sort of tugging in the back of her mind. Yeah, brilliant. Good choice. Really good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, great choice.
So time for us to rate this out of 10. So yeah, for me, this episode's a solid 9. Really can't praise it more highly. The the 9/11 subplot thing, I think that's fine. I think, in fact, I think it's good that the show took it on, because it's not easy to suddenly grab that kind of narrative and throw it into a show and make the characters believable. I think it was a very deliberate choice that it wasn't a white neighbor, it was a black neighbor, so that the obvious sort of racial direct platitudes could be avoided. I think, which was, again, I think that was a good choice. I mean, we could do a whole show about tribalism, which is just another form of racism in Africa. And, that's the first time I ever saw that was when I went to Africa. So I think it's good that was put in. It was 2003 when this was filmed. So early 2003. So you're only talking about a year and a half after 9/11. Bear in mind, it's September 2001. This was filmed like January, February, March 2003, and then it dropped in 2003. So but 9 out of 10 for me. Inside Man.
Yeah, I mean, I would have given it a 10 if it wasn't for that moment, that scene, which I did think was padding. I loved it. I do understand where you're coming from with that, and I think, considering that it was such a very brief period after such a catastrophic and tragic event, that maybe this was one of the first shows that maybe injected that kind of thing into a mainstream sort of TV show. But 9 out of 10. Yeah, it's a great episode. It's a great episode. Just brilliant performances all round.
Great stuff. Fantastic. Tox.
Yeah, same. Solid 9. It's all of the issues that I had with the season 2 opener are not present in this one. I do like all of the different things that are going on. The boomerang storytelling. We're jumping from one plot to the next. Obviously the weakest one is Danny, and although in that scene, even though there's that kind of cringe-worthy thing, I do like that when one of the visits when Julian de-escalates the situation, Danny kind of looks at him like, all right, I think this guy is kind of starting to get it a little bit. Good for you. I think it's a little over the top how it's handled, but yeah, this episode's solid 9 out of 10. I would have liked to have seen the guy that plays Tio. I would have liked to have seen him longer and more.
Cedric Pendleton, first class actor. And,
I mean,
I really didn't like him in the show. It's a shame.
Yeah,
I get why he had to go, really, because obviously we have to show how brutal Armadillo is. But
sure, Sure,
Yeah.
but to kind of caveat on what you said, I think it would have been more impactful if we'd have gotten to see him longer and know him better. I mean, we had the Power Ranger drug dealer from the first season. We had him throughout most of season 1, and then this guy gets topped off in the second episode. And but I like it. Everything's good. You know, you can really see things closing in on Vic in this. He doesn't quickly weasel his way out of it like he usually does.
No.
So
indeed not.
Yeah.
Indeed not. Okay, Northern.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Like, some of the padding can be a little bit cringe-worthy at times, but we are seeing more consequences of what is happening. You know, we are seeing like the walls maybe closing in a little bit on Acevedo and Vic there, because if they can piss off Winnet, who's kind of been okay with letting them do what they do, it's like who else are they gonna have turn on them?
Yeah, agree. Darth.
I want to give this episode a 10. I just can't. And you've already hit on why that is. It's the if they did the Muslim thing, if they'd left out the shooting and just walked away after the Chilean intervention thing, I think it would have been better. But they went back to that, and they had to throw in that awful line like, "Well, where's your Allah now?" I can't believe they put that in there.
I think that storyline, you know, maybe could have ended with that in a couple of episodes' time. You could have stretched it out a bit longer, or you could have even had a good resolution where the two people found common ground and broke bread. But hey, this is the Shield. That doesn't happen in the Shield very often.
Okay, people on the street say dumb stuff. I get it. I know, but for American television, that was it just seems like a bad down draw. With that being said, I want to say real quick before I forget, because I'm going to forget, so I want to say it now before I forget. There's a certain inconsistency in the episode that I noticed I wanted to pound away in. And that is, I mentioned earlier the scene where Shane and Tio said, "We got to put this guy 6 feet under tonight." And I mentioned that scene earlier. But when they actually go over there after Tio was murdered, and they go over there, and Vic starts to wail on this guy, Shane is one of the people that are pulling him away. But, well, wait a second, you just said you want to put the 6 foot under. Well, why don't you go ahead and he should be like, I thought he was going to be like, yeah, get him, Vic, but he pulling Vic back. I thought that there was certain inconsistency there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so that's season 2, episode 2. Overall, I think we'll all agree 2 pretty cracking episodes.
Yeah. 2
pretty solid episodes. So I have got some industry interviews lined up in the coming weeks. I don't have fixed dates yet. I'm still moving Vicky around because she keeps getting booked. Well, that's what happens with people when they're in demand. But hopefully we might have her on the week after next, I think. Tuesday, of course, we have the Nielsen ratings, 10 o'clock, where we review the best of film and television, both new and old. And in particular, on this Tuesday, we are going to be talking about this, which means all of my panelists, without fail, need to watch it. I can confirm that show is every bit as good as it looks. I binged it in an evening and a half. In fact, I would have binged it in a single evening if I wasn't so poorly. It's up there with the kind of 1883, 1923 vibe, 10 times more gritty, superb acting, an amazing cast, really good script, 6 episodes done. You know, maybe there'll be a season 2, but if there isn't, doesn't matter. It's a perfectly rounded narrative with 6 or so characters trying to make their way through the very kind of bitterly contested territory of Utah, while the American West is still in its dying days.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know where it's coming from now.
Lots of Mormon militia and that kind of stuff.
I thought so. Yeah.
Really, really good show. So, guys, I put this in terms of quality. It's up there with The Shield. It's that good, and it's got a lot of my favorite actors in it. So, watch it. You won't regret it. 6 45-minute episodes. Has anyone seen it apart from me?
Not yet. No, I'm going to catch up with this. Yeah. I'm not going to ask what you think, Northern, but we'll find that out on Tuesday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this actually.
9. I give it 9 out of 10. Okay,
Wow.
good. That's good. That's a good score, Northern. Excellent. So,
I have it done by tonight or tomorrow.
Darth, what was that? What?
He said he'll have it done by tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, cool. All right. So, that's it for this week for The Shield. I'm not going to hang around after, guys. I'm going to get straight off and get some food and then rest up. But before we depart, just to remind people that not one but 2 of us do in fact have books out. Cue Gary's line.
Sorry, you haven't got a book out, have you?
Yeah, so you're too slow. You've got to come in faster.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. So, Silver Screen Journeys is now out. It actually has less than look at that. Wes has got a copy. Thank you so much, sir. Now with less typos. My copy arrived 2 days ago. And I thought, right, let me go through it. I've got a hardback and the softback. And I found 7 typos in the first 4 chapters. I was so angry that I'd still, between me and the proofreader, we'd still missed. So there are still a couple of very minor typos in, but I'm about halfway through the book now and I haven't found any others. So, yeah, there's a couple of bits I'd probably edit a bit differently. The hardback version, the pictures don't quite land on the pages as correctly as they should. So I'm going to see if I can change that. I've had some great reviews come in. Here they are. Really, really nice. All 5 stars out of 5 so far. I'm sure there'll be some less positive ones later, but it's great. And I really appreciate that support. And if you do get the book, do please review it. The reviews are vital. Also, Wes has his time travel crime thriller, Slapdash.
Time travel.
Wes, you haven't got a book out, have you?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. I do have a book out, Kansas City crime novel, James McCulley, first in the trilogy, ex-military guy, ex-criminal, working as a PI out in Kansas.
Yeah, and he's definitely not based on you at all, is he?
No. Not even a little bit.
No, I didn't think so.
I think you'll find that anyone who goes to Kansas feels like they are going back in time. So
I got to be honest, this actually does sound really my cup of tea, this book. So I think I'm going to order this tonight. So
lovely.
Very good.
Sounds great. Sounds terrific.
I'm going to order it when I have read the other 6 books, which unfortunately are ahead of yours. But I have got various books of various other people's to read first, and I'm still trying to get through them. So just for people's benefit. Books aren't real, says Wormy Spoons. Well, mine is. I've got it right here. What are you talking about? Yeah, so Northern, have you got anything you want to plug, mate, quickly?
Uh-oh.
No. Okay, right. So we'll move on. Fox, we plugged your book. Garth, I don't think you've got anything to plug. Is that it then? Northern, seriously, have you got anything you want to plug, mate? You there? Are you there? No. Okay, all right. Okay, that's
no.
So he's definitely gone. All right. Okay. Well, look, we'll be back on Tuesday at 10 o'clock with the Nielsen ratings. This has been an entertaining show. It's always good to make each other laugh because times are a bit shy. Also, our heart goes out to friends and family living in Los Angeles. I have been on the phone quite a lot this week, checking on people. I've got about 200 friends that live in LA.
Wow.
So I have been checking, and 2 people have lost their homes that I know personally. So it's a terrible thing. And, I know it's, okay, a movie star loses their home. I know they can probably afford, or they may well have a second property, but you know, just put that to one side and think about how you would feel if you lost all your personal mementos, all your personal photographs and things of that nature, collections of things, props from movies that maybe you've kept over time, that kind of stuff. You're never going to be able to get it back. So, you know, so yeah. And also, sorry, and also my warmest wishes to the incredible first responders, the job they've been doing, the amount of hours they've been putting in, second to none. And also, from what I understand, rather underfunded and not working under the best circumstances, with fire hydrants not working properly. And I'm sure there'll be heads that are going to roll in the future. But we'll find about that later. Northern, you're here. Where'd you go?
Yeah, my bloody... Whoa, what was that? What the hell was that?
That was you arriving, apparently.
Yeah, internet just conked out, and the screen had to reload. I had to retry on the screen again to get back in. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to try and see if we can get Sonic 3 and Landman review coming up, because I want to finish watching that last episode as well. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Landman. I really do love that show.
Great show.
I may well be doing a video on that. I'm definitely going to be doing a video on American Primeval. Looking forward to talking about that on Tuesday. That's it from us, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Do check out my colleagues' channels and support them if you can. Until then.
Today